Why do women often return when you finally stop chasing? The truth is, it's not about what you say, but how you carry yourself. In this video, I'll reveal the exact mindset and actions that make her come back to you. Watch till the end, because this shift can completely change the way women respond to you. When it comes to relationships, one of the most powerful traits you can carry is self-respect. It's the foundation of how others treat you, and it's the very energy that determines whether someone values you or takes you for granted. In the case of women, when a man loses his self-respect, he loses her attraction almost instantly. You see, women might not always articulate it, but they are highly sensitive to the energy you project. If your behavior shows that you value her more than you value yourself, she subconsciously begins to lose interest. Maintaining self-respect means you do not compromise your dignity just to keep someone in your life. Many men make the mistake of begging, pleading, and lowering their standards when a woman pulls away. They believe that showing vulnerability in this way will make her feel sorry for them or bring her back. But the reality is the opposite. The moment you sacrifice your self-worth for someone else's attention, you send a silent message, "I am not enough on my own." And that message kills attraction. True respect is not about arrogance or pride. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to bargain it away. When a woman sees that you hold yourself to a standard, she instinctively feels that you are a man of value. She may not even consciously understand why she feels this pull toward you, but it's because she recognizes that you treat yourself as someone important. If you don't treat yourself with respect, why should she? Think about it. Every time you allow someone to walk all over you, every time you tolerate behavior that makes you feel small, you are teaching them how to treat you. A woman who senses that you will accept anything just to keep her will push boundaries, not because she is evil or manipulative, but because she is testing your strength. She is looking for reassurance that you are not weak, that you are not dependent on her validation. When you hold firm and respect yourself enough to walk away from situations that diminish you, she feels a powerful shift. Suddenly, you are not the man who needs her. You are the man she needs. Maintaining self-respect also means controlling your emotions when things don't go your way. If she pulls away, instead of chasing, you step back with calmness. Instead of blowing up with anger, you breathe and remind yourself that your value doesn't come from someone else's attention. That emotional discipline is a mark of strength. Women find security in men who are not easily shaken because it shows leadership, stability, and confidence. When you react with desperation, you give away your power. When you stand firm, you keep it. Self-respect is also reflected in the way you invest your time and energy. If you constantly drop everything in your life for her, you are teaching her that your world revolves around her. This might feel flattering in the short term, but in the long term, it suffocates attraction. A man who respects himself invests his time wisely. He balances his career, his personal growth, his friendships, and his purpose in life. He doesn't abandon all of it for temporary affection. And when she sees this balance, she doesn't feel burdened. She feels inspired. Another key part of maintaining self-respect is setting boundaries. Boundaries are not walls. They are healthy guidelines that show you know what you deserve. When a woman sees that you don't tolerate disrespect, she realizes she cannot take you lightly. Many men fear that setting boundaries will push a woman away, but in reality, it creates the opposite effect. Boundaries create respect, and respect creates attraction. Finally, maintaining self-respect means being willing to walk away if necessary. It doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you stop loving. It simply means you refuse to lose yourself in the process of loving someone else. Walking away with dignity is often more powerful than staying and begging. It's a silent message that says, I choose myself first. And ironically, that is often the exact moment when she begins to realize your true value. One of the most powerful traits a man can develop in relationships is the ability to remain calm and unbothered. When a woman pulls away, tests you, or creates distance, your first instinct might be to panic, overreact, or chase. But that is exactly what destroys attraction. What truly captures her attention is when you hold your composure and refuse to let emotions control your actions. Calmness is strength. It shows control, confidence, and certainty, all qualities women deeply respect and desire in a man. When you become overly reactive, you show her that she has power over your emotions. Every argument you start, every desperate message you send, every moment you show frustration communicates that you are unstable. And instability is one of the fastest ways to make her lose trust in you. On the other hand, when you stay calm, even when she withdraws, even when she gives you mixed signals, you silently communicate that you are grounded. You are not defined by her behavior, and you are not shaken by temporary circumstances. Being unbothered does not mean ignoring her completely or pretending that you don't care. It means that you do not allow your peace to be disrupted by her actions. It is about emotional control. For example, if she delays her reply to a message, most men immediately spiral into doubt, overthinking every possibility. They send follow-up texts, they ask questions, they get angry. A calm and unbothered man, however, continues living his life. He doesn't sit around waiting for validation. He knows that his worth is not tied to how quickly someone replies. That level of detachment creates a sense of mystery and strength that draws her in instead of pushing her away. Women are naturally drawn to men who are in control of their emotions. This is not because they want you to suppress how you feel, but because they want to feel safe around you. A man who panics, who loses his temper, or who becomes needy creates instability. But a man who remains calm no matter what happens creates an aura of certainty. That aura makes her feel secure in your presence because she knows that life will not easily shake you. Remaining unbothered also teaches her that you do not operate out of fear of loss. Many men react anxiously because they are terrified of losing her. They think if they don't act quickly, she will slip away. But fear-based actions only weaken your position. When you remain calm, you send the message that while you may value her, you are not dependent on her for your happiness. That independence is magnetic. Women are far more attracted to men who choose them, not men who need them. Another aspect of being unbothered is not engaging in unnecessary drama. If she tries to provoke a reaction, if she tests your patience, or if she creates conflict, you don't feed the fire. Instead of shouting, explaining, or proving yourself, you step back with composure. This doesn't mean you allow disrespect. It means you don't waste your energy on emotional battles that serve no purpose. You respond with clarity, or you remove yourself from the situation altogether. That restraint communicates strength without a single word. Calmness is also reflected in the way you handle distance. When a woman pulls away, the calm man doesn't chase or panic. He simply gives her space while continuing to focus on his life. His attitude is simple. If she wants to be here, she will be. If not, I will still thrive. That mindset removes pressure, and paradoxically, it often makes her return faster. Women notice when you are not emotionally dependent, and it forces them to reconsider walking away from someone who is clearly in control. Being calm and unbothered is not about faking confidence. It's about building genuine inner strength so that no matter what happens, you remain centered. You are not easily shaken by rejection, arguments, or distance. You understand that your value comes from within, not from someone else's validation. And once you embody that mindset, she feels it without you having to say a single word. One of the biggest mistakes men make when a woman pulls away is that they stop living for themselves and begin living for her. They sit around waiting for her call, analyzing every little move and centering their entire existence on the hope of her return. This is the fastest way to lose both yourself and her. The truth is, the most attractive and powerful thing you can do when she distances herself is to shift all of that energy back into your own growth. Focusing on growth means you prioritize becoming a better version of yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Instead of drowning in overthinking, you redirect your attention toward building the life you want. When you do this, two things happen. First, you stop feeling powerless because you are taking control of your life. And second, she begins to notice that your world doesn't revolve around her absence. That realization alone can shift the dynamic completely. Women are naturally drawn to men who are constantly improving themselves. This doesn't mean you need to become a millionaire overnight or transform into someone unrecognizable. It simply means you are not stagnant. A man who sits still, sulking in self-pity, loses his spark. But a man who invests in his health, his goals, and his passions radiates energy that others cannot ignore. Growth is magnetic. It silently communicates ambition, strength, and self-respect. When you focus on growth, you also stop seeking validation from her. Instead of chasing her attention, you chase your goals. Instead of trying to impress her, you work on impressing yourself. That shift in focus builds independence. And independence is one of the most attractive qualities a man can possess. A woman who sees that you don't crumble without her presence will start to question her decision. She may begin to wonder why you are thriving without her. And that curiosity often becomes the reason she is pulled back toward you. Growth should also be holistic. Physical growth means taking care of your body, exercising, eating well, and presenting yourself in a way that reflects pride in who you are. Mental growth means reading, learning, and expanding your perspective. Emotional growth means controlling your reactions, healing past wounds, and becoming more self-aware. Spiritual growth means finding inner peace and a sense of purpose beyond temporary relationships. When you cultivate all of these areas, you become a man who is complete, not a man who is waiting for someone else to complete him. Another powerful aspect of focusing on growth is that it naturally builds confidence. When you see yourself making progress, whether it's in your career, your fitness, or your mindset, you feel stronger. That inner strength shows in the way you walk, the way you talk, and the way you carry yourself. Confidence doesn't come from chasing others. It comes from the pride of knowing you are building something valuable. That unshakable confidence is what makes women want to be around you again. Focusing on growth also shifts the balance of power. When she left, she may have assumed you would fall apart without her. But when she sees that you are rising, building, and moving forward, she realizes she underestimated you. This shift often makes her reconsider because she is reminded of your value. Growth makes you unpredictable. Instead of waiting by the phone, you are out building the life you want, and that unpredictability creates intrigue. Most importantly, focusing on growth is not about trying to win her back. It's about winning yourself back. It's about making sure that no matter who comes or goes, your life continues to expand. When you live this way, you stop fearing loss because you know you are constantly gaining within yourself. That is the mindset that transforms you from being dependent on her presence to being a man she is drawn toward again. Boundaries are one of the clearest signs of self-respect, yet they are often the hardest for men to establish when it comes to women. Many men fear that if they set limits, they will push her away or lose her completely. But the reality is the opposite. Boundaries are not about control or rejection. They are about showing her and yourself that you have standards. Without them, you invite disrespect. And once respect is lost, attraction follows very quickly. Setting boundaries means you communicate what you will and will not tolerate in a relationship. It doesn't mean shouting, demanding, or trying to dominate. It means calmly and firmly standing on your principles. A woman feels secure with a man who is not afraid to say no when necessary. If she senses that you will accept anything just to keep her happy, she will lose admiration. But if she sees that you have a clear sense of self, she instinctively respects you more. A boundary is not a wall, it's a filter. It allows the right kind of energy into your life while keeping out the wrong kind. For example, if she disrespects you with words, a man without boundaries will ignore it, hoping not to upset her further. But a man with boundaries will calmly let her know that disrespect is unacceptable and will not be entertained. That simple act of standing firm communicates that you value yourself enough not to accept behavior that lowers you. Boundaries also prevent you from overgiving in relationships. Many men think that constantly saying yes, constantly sacrificing, and constantly being available will make her love them more. In reality, it makes her take you for granted. A woman does not fall for a man who abandons himself to keep her satisfied. She falls for the man who knows when to give and when to hold back, who knows when to say yes and when to say no. Balance creates respect, and respect creates attraction. Another aspect of boundaries is time and attention. If she knows that no matter what, you will always drop everything for her, she will lose the sense of value in your presence. But when she realizes that your time is valuable and you won't compromise it recklessly, she begins to see you differently. Your availability should be earned, not assumed. A man who protects his time communicates that he has a mission, a purpose, and a life outside of her. That is what makes her want to be part of it. Boundaries also extend to emotional control. If she tries to provoke you, test you, or pull you into unnecessary drama, your boundary should be refusing to engage in chaos. Instead of reacting to every emotional trigger, you choose calm detachment. This doesn't mean ignoring her feelings. It means not letting them dictate your peace. That restraint shows maturity, and maturity is deeply attractive. Perhaps the most difficult boundary is being willing to walk away when respect is broken repeatedly. Many men compromise again and again, hoping that she will eventually change. But every time you compromise your standards, you weaken her respect for you. Walking away is not about punishment, it's about protecting your self-worth. A woman may test to see if you truly mean what you say. And when she realizes you are not afraid to lose her, if it means losing yourself, her respect for you rises. Boundaries are not coldness. They are not harshness. They are clarity. They let her know that while you may value her, you will not sacrifice your dignity to keep her. They make her feel safe because she knows you are not a man who bends in every direction. She sees that you stand firm in who you are, and that firmness is what draws her closer instead of pushing her away. Strength is one of the most attractive qualities in a man, but many men misunderstand what strength truly means. They think it's about dominance, loudness, or proving themselves constantly. In reality, true strength is subtle. It doesn't need to be announced, forced, or exaggerated. It's something a woman feels through your presence, your actions, and your ability to remain steady when life tests you. Subtle strength is not about showing the world how tough you are. It's about having such control over yourself that your strength speaks without words. A man who shows subtle strength doesn't react to everything around him. He doesn't feel the need to argue endlessly. ability to win a point. He doesn't get dragged into unnecessary battles to prove his worth. Instead, his restraint shows that he values his energy and doesn't waste it where it doesn't belong. That kind of composure makes a woman realize she is dealing with someone who has depth, someone who doesn't fall apart at the slightest challenge. Subtle strength is also about emotional discipline. A man who can control his emotions, especially in moments of tension, radiates power. For example, if a woman tries to test him by pulling away or by questioning his patience, a weak man will react with anger, desperation, or insecurity. A strong man, however, will remain calm, collected, and grounded. That quiet response communicates more strength than any argument could. It tells her that he is not controlled by temporary emotions, and that steadiness makes her feel both respect and attraction. Another part of showing subtle strength is in decision-making. A man who hesitates, doubts himself, or constantly seeks approval signals weakness. But a man who makes clear decisions, stands by them, and accepts responsibility shows leadership. Women are naturally drawn to leaders, not because they want to be controlled, but because they admire men who know where they are going. When you display confidence in your choices without arrogance, you demonstrate a subtle but undeniable strength that sets you apart. Subtle strength also comes through consistency. Many men show strength for a moment but fail to sustain it. They act confident when things are going well, but the moment challenges arise, they collapse. True strength is proven in consistency, how you carry yourself every day, how you handle setbacks, and how you maintain your standards regardless of external circumstances. A man who stays disciplined with his habits, focused on his goals, and true to his values shows a strength that cannot be faked. Physical presence can also reflect subtle strength, but again, it's not about trying to appear intimidating. It's about the way you carry yourself, your posture, your tone, your calm but assured body language. You don't need to raise your voice or demand attention. Strength shows in silence, in the way people notice your presence without you trying to be noticed. A woman feels this energy and it draws her in because it signals stability and protection. One of the most overlooked aspects of subtle strength is patience. Weak men rush, force outcomes, and try to control situations out of fear. Strong men know that patience is power. They don't chase desperately because they understand that what is meant for them will come. They don't cling because they trust their ability to thrive regardless of circumstances. That patience shows maturity, and maturity is one of the most irresistible forms of strength. Finally, showing subtle strength means being unafraid of loss. Many men compromise their dignity out of fear of losing a woman. They think that holding on tightly will keep her from leaving, but it only shows weakness. A strong man knows that he can walk away if necessary, not out of pride, but out of principle. He understands that real strength is not about forcing someone to stay, but about remaining solid even if they don't. And that quiet, unshakable confidence is what makes a woman reconsider walking away from him in the first place. Words are easy to say, but actions are what reveal who you really are. A man can promise loyalty, love, and respect, but if his behavior doesn't match those promises, they mean nothing. Women are naturally observant, and they pay more attention to what you do than what you say. If your actions align with strength, discipline, and confidence, she will feel it without you needing to explain. If your actions contradict your words, she will lose respect no matter how convincing you try to sound. Letting actions speak starts with consistency. Anyone can behave confidently for a few days, but real strength is shown when you maintain it over time. If you say you're focused on your goals, your daily habits should reflect that focus. If you say you respect yourself, your boundaries should prove it when tested. Consistency is what makes her believe that your character is not an act, but your true nature. Another way actions speak louder than words is in how you handle adversity. When life throws challenges at you, how do you respond? Do you complain, blame others, or fall apart? Or do you face difficulties with composure and problem solving? A woman observes closely in these moments. If you stay calm under pressure, if you continue moving forward when things go wrong, your actions reveal resilience. And resilience is one of the strongest qualities a man can demonstrate. Actions also reflect your priorities. You don't need to tell her what matters to you. She sees it. If you claim self-growth is important but spend your days wasting time and neglecting yourself, your actions expose the truth. On the other hand, if you say nothing but continue to invest in your health, your career, and your purpose, it speaks volumes. A woman cannot ignore a man who silently builds himself without seeking constant recognition. That quiet discipline makes her curious and draws her attention back toward you. Letting action speak also protects you from appearing needy or desperate. When you beg with words, you show weakness. When you prove through action that you are fine without her, you show strength. For example, instead of sending endless messages when she pulls away, you remain focused on your own path. Instead of asking her to respect you, you enforce your standards through behavior. That calm, firm action communicates more than 1,000 emotional speeches ever could. Another layer of this principle is in leadership. True leaders don't talk endlessly about what they can do. They show it. If you say you want to lead, you demonstrate it through direction, stability, and decision-making. Women are drawn to men who lead not through controlling words, but through steady action. Your consistency, your calmness, and your ability to stay grounded in chaos show that you are someone who can be relied upon. Your actions also demonstrate independence. When you keep moving forward, regardless of whether she is with you, it shows that you don't rely on her for your happiness. You don't need to tell her you're strong on your own. She will see it in the way you continue to progress. That independence makes you magnetic because it proves you are choosing her, not clinging to her. The difference between choice and need is revealed only through action. Most importantly, letting action speak makes you undeniable. You don't need to chase, you don't need to explain, and you don't need to prove yourself with endless words. Your lifestyle, your discipline, and your calm strength speak for you. She will see it in the way you live. And that unspoken message is far louder than anything you could ever try to convince her of with words. When you look at all of these principles together, self-respect, calmness, growth, boundaries, subtle strength, and letting your actions speak, they all lead to one core truth. Attraction is not about chasing or convincing, it's about becoming. The moment you stop begging for her attention and start embodying these qualities, the dynamic shifts. She doesn't return because you pressured her. She returns because your energy, your discipline, and your self-worth make her realize what she lost. The man who understands this no longer fears distance, rejection, or loss. He knows that by holding his ground, by continuing to build himself, and by refusing to compromise his dignity, he creates an unshakable presence. And whether she comes back or not, he wins because he has become the kind of man who commands respect, not through words, but through the life he lives.